Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 3rd of May, comes to you from London. And at the start of a new month, we put our report out to our enterprise clients for the month ahead, and you can get that in your news file on your enterprise edition. And really, the interesting thing is looking at the report. Not much has actually changed. The changes are in bold. So the Chinese yuan is just to turn neutral against the US currency. US dollar continues to storm ahead, of course, and we're seeing that dollar strength kicking in against more clearly against the Swiss franc and the Norwegian kroner. So a few changes in the currency, no big changes in stocks. Pretty much everything that we said would happen has happened. Platinum is the only real change amongst commodities where we're seeing that going from bullish to neutral. So we'll take a look at that, but keep an eye out for that report in your Updata systems. So taking a look first of all at the dollar index, nudged a 20-year high last week and looking still very strong, holding on to those gains, bullish on all three time frames. Remember, this is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute chart, long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of the market. The euro is just hanging on to the 105 level, but looking very bearish indeed. And of course, all eyes will be on the Fed this week with interest rate rise. And will the European Central Bank do something in return? But the behind the curve in terms of rate rises, and we are just seeing the euro plummeting there. The Japanese yen sitting at 130 against the dollar, so the dollar is actually still holding its strength there as well. Sterling sitting at 125.40. So bearish long and medium term, just seeing a little bit of an improvement short term. And against the euro, sterling sitting at 119.35, trading just generally gradually up, making a higher low at 118. Don't be surprised to see a new high there. Bitcoin sitting steady at $38,500. And if we look at the S&P 500 index, we were closed in the UK yesterday, but we had really big falls on Friday on the US stock market, making new lows, new downside targets. It's all looking very bad now for stocks, and the Nasdaq building this new column to the downside as well. We've got another target here on the medium term chart, 16% lower. So we're really only seeing just the beginning of the sell-off in tech. The futures this morning are very flat, so little change there. The VIX volatility is holding above 30, remembering that the fear index, we're fearful above 30. And so we are still in fearful territory. FTSE future is down slightly. The DAX in Germany is up 0.2%, but really is still bearish below the cloud on the medium and short-term charts. On the long term, we're seeing the prices coming below as well. Japan sitting at 17,000. Again, not through the cloud on the medium term, the long term, but short term, we are just struggling. The Chinese stock market is actually up 2.4%, but again, bearish on all three time frames, so it doesn't change the picture in any way. And the Sensex in India down 0.15%. Aussie market was down 0.4%, so it's the only market really still that is above its cloud on the medium term, so bucking the trend on most markets. We'll look at the energy mix in a minute. We've got soft commodities. Coffee is actually up. We've got sugar slightly lower. All these commodities long term in the report still looking pretty good above the cloud, but we are just seeing corn is an interesting one. That's making new highs. So in the last month, that's made new highs, so looking strong there. Just waiting to activate this target, some 26% higher. Gold sitting at 1853, so really falling away from that 1900 level. 1800 is the next level that we look to, and that will be pretty critical. And if we look at platinum, we talked about that. That's the one where we're bearish because we are below the cloud on the long term and the medium term. We're more bearish, so we've gone neutral there. It will probably get dragged up with other precious metals, but for the moment, it's the least good looking precious metals charts. US 10-year yields sitting all the way back at 2.9%, just nudging that 9.8%, just nudging that 3% mark, and we've got targets really all the way higher, so we will see 3% breached almost certainly this week and hold. Of course, tech stocks had a very bad week. Apple's the best of a bad bunch. 150 to 180 is the range there. But Google, Alphabet fell away heavily last week on results. Microsoft fell. Tesla is also just coming off the top with all the news surrounding the Twitter side of things. So tech is still not looking good. All got downside targets, again, covered in the report. If we look at the energy mix, the big one, of course, is that we're seeing this divergence continuing between Dutch gas and UK gas, TTF and MBP. So the blue line is TTF. That's sitting. This has all been normalised to MMBTU dollars. It's sitting at around $34.50. Looking at UK gas, we're sitting at $19, and US gas really now starting to climb, sitting at $7.70. So again, in our morning report, we're bullish on US gas. We've got targets to prove that. So at the moment, we're seeing this real divergence in price globally, and LNG falling on reduced Asian demand as well. Taking a look at Brent crude, we're down 1% this morning. We're really getting to a point where we're waiting to see what happens with this triangle break. US nat gas also looking strong. So that's really just on a resurgent path there with upside targets, so that should go higher today. It's up 1.5% already. Emissions up 1.5%. Looking like these upside targets are going to win through on emissions. Keep an eye on your 1 minute charts there. And if you're on looking at gas, TTF is lower. And then MBP, we were bearish MBP today because we are making 7 months lows, so that's really quite key. But of course, there will be a lot of volatility. Keep an eye on your 1 minute charts. And German power is down slightly as well, and we've got quite a few downside targets there, so don't be surprised to see that falling. That's it for today. Keep an eye on those market reports, and until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.